All right, let's work our way through assignment number 5. So question number 1 says, convert the equation x equals 3 to polar form, then solve the resulting equation for r. So when converting from a rectangular form to polar form, we're going to want to replace our x with r cosine theta. So we get r cosine of theta is equal to 3. And then to solve for r, we're going to divide both sides by cosine of theta. And we get that r is equal to 3 divided by cosine of theta. Now remember that 1 divided by cosine of theta is secant theta. So we could either write 3 over cosine theta or 3 secant of theta. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to write that r is equal to 3 secant of theta. All right. Next. It says convert the equation x squared plus y squared minus 25 to polar form. All right, so here we can replace this x with r cosine theta and the y with r sine theta, and then square them and then factor out an r, and then remember that sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. Or we can just remember that r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. So let's just replace this whole x squared plus y squared with r squared. So we get r squared is equal to 25. We'll just move that 25 over to the other side and replace that x squared plus y squared with r squared. And so then we can take the square root of both sides, so we get that r is equal to 5. There we go. All right. Number 3. Here again, we've got an x squared plus y squared. So we're going to remember that x squared plus y squared is just equal to r squared. So let's replace that with r squared. So we have r squared plus, now with this x, we're going to have to replace that with r cosine theta. So we get 5 times r cosine of theta is equal to 0. All right, now let's move this 5r cosine theta over to the other side here. So we get r squared is equal to negative 5r cosine of theta. Just add 5r or subtract 5r cosine theta from both sides. Now we've got an r on both sides of this equation. That should be a 2. So let's divide both sides by r. If we divide this side by r, we're just going to get rid of that r squared. If we divide this side by r, we're going to get rid of that r. So our answer here is going to be r equals negative 5 cosine theta. So negative 5 cosine of theta. All right. Number 4, convert each polar equation to rectangular form. All right, so now going from polar form to rectangular form, we have to remember the 4 to 6 identities that I gave you in the notes. For this one, whenever you have just the theta by itself and no r, what you're going to want to do is take the tangent of both sides. So this is going to be equal to the tangent of, so the tangent of theta is equal to the tangent of 7 pi over 6. So hard to write with a mouse. Okay, so we know what the tangent of 7 pi over 6 is. We can look at our unit circle. So we go to 7 pi over 6, and the tangent of that is square root of 3 over 3. So, oh, and we can replace this tangent of theta with y over x. That's one of our identities. Tangent of theta equals y over x. We get y over x equals, and the tangent of 7 pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 3. And then we can multiply both sides by x, and we're going to get that y equals the square root of 3 over 3 times x. All right. Now, for part B, we have r cosine theta equals -3. So this one is a little bit easier. R cosine theta is just equal to x. That's one of our identities, that x equals r cosine theta. And so we can just replace that r cosine theta with x, and our rectangular form is going to be x equals -3. All right. Number 5. Convert each polar equation to rectangular form. So here we have r equals 8. So remember, r equals 8, that's going to be all the points that are 8 away from the center, which is just going to be a circle with a radius of 8. So let's replace this r with the square root of x squared plus y squared. So we get the square root of x squared plus y squared is equal to 8. And then we can square both sides. And so we get x squared plus y squared is equal to 64. You could also have squared both sides of the equation right here and gotten r squared equals 64, and then replaced r squared with x squared plus y squared. Either way works. So we get x squared plus y squared is equal to 64. All right. Now, part B, we have theta equals 2 pi over 3. So here is another case where we just have a theta. So let's take the tangent of both sides. We get the tangent of theta is equal to the tangent of 2 pi over 3. And remember, tangent of theta is equal to y over x. And tangent of 2 pi over 3, we go to our unit circle, see that the tangent of 2 pi over 3 is negative square root of 3. And then we can multiply both sides by x, and we get y equals, let me put this down here, y is going to be equal to negative square root of 3 times x. All right. Last one, convert each polar equation to rectangular form. Here we have a theta by itself again. So we'll replace, we'll take the tangent of both sides. And let's skip ahead one step here to save me some writing with this mouse. If we take the tangent of both sides, we're going to get tangent of theta on one side, which we're going to replace with y over x. So y over x is going to be equal to the tangent of 7 pi over 4. If we go to our unit circle, we see that the tangent of 7 pi over 4 is -1. So this is -1. And then we can multiply both sides by x, and we get that y is equal to -1 times x, or just -x. All right. Part B, r sine theta equals 5. Well, r sine theta, remember, is just y. So So we can just replace that r sine theta with y, and we get y equals 5. All right, so that's it. That's assignment number 5. And I'll just leave that to you and wish you good luck.